Jonesy and Amanda.
Jam Nation.
Well, last week, Greens spokesperson for Justice, Sue Higginson, introduced a motion calling on Attorney General Michael Daly to pardon Kathleen Folbigg. Yesterday, it was done. The 55-year-old who was jailed for 2 decades for the murder of her 4 children walked free after there was evidence of reasonable possibility that 3 of those children died of natural causes. An extraordinary day for science, an extraordinary day for justice. Sue Higginson joins us now. Hello, Sue.
Good morning.
How did you first get involved in this case? How did you become a champion here?
Look, I'm not a champion, but...
Oh, yes, I think you are.
No, I got involved quite recently, to be frank. I heard about this like every other Australian over the years, but I got involved at the level of detail of which I know now only a couple of months ago. It was actually just after the election when I became the portfolio holder for the Greens for Justice. I looked at the inquiry, I looked at the evidence, I read the thousands of pages of this inquiry, the former inquiry, went back to media articles, and I couldn't believe that we were sitting, all of us, on top of all of that, notwithstanding there was clear evidence now of reasonable doubt, and there was a woman still languishing in a prison, and nobody, other than her champions, nobody in the position of power, were actually doing the right thing. And that's when I contacted the Attorney General. I made pleas to him directly. I wrote letters to him. I wrote letters to the Premier. I contacted the Premier's Chief of Staff. And then I put a notice of motion to the Parliament last week.
And this genetic CALM2 G114R gene, that was pretty much discovered in 2021 as far as a contributing factor.
Yeah, look, the more I've looked, the more I realise it really is. Those medical scientific experts who were speaking publicly back then in 2021, I think there was even an article of one of the experts at ANU saying, we've found the cause of death of 2 of Kathleen Folbigg's babies. All the way back then, as you rightly point out, that should have been more than an alarm bell to us that as lawyers. That's the other thing. Look, I have the advantage of having a law background. I've been a practicing lawyer for decades. But as soon as I started putting these pieces together, that's when I realised, oh no, we're holding somebody in prison wrongfully. And let's remember, our entire criminal justice system is based on the very foundation that nobody should have their liberty or freedom taken unless they're charged and convicted beyond a reasonable doubt.
Extraordinary day yesterday to see Kathleen released to the home of her great friend and another wonderful champion, Tracy Chapman. Have you spoken to either of them?
I've spoken to Kathleen's lawyer. I've left the women. I'll catch up with them today. But, last night when I was getting messages that... cups of tea, pizzas, pajamas, hugs, tears, laughs. I think we were all in joyous amounts of tears with the whole scenario.
It's hard
They were like young. It felt like they were, it felt like there was young girls at the party. That's how it felt from where I was.
It's hard to imagine, though, what the last 20 years have been like, that there's Kathleen mourning her children, confused by why they've passed away, knowing she wasn't responsible, in solitary confinement for 6 years. It's hard to not have your heart bleed for her.
I don't think any of us can really imagine or contemplate. I think that, a lot of us try to put our feet in those shoes and really have a go, but and then you go and make your own cup of tea, or then you go and walk outside into the sunshine, or then you go and pick up your own book, or you jump in your own bed, that's what, on Saturday morning when I wasn't aware, we'd had the notice of motion debate, the Attorney General and the current government seem to have bunkered down on their position. No, we're going to wait for the final writing of the former Chief Justice of New South Wales, his findings in writing. We're going to wait. On Saturday morning, I remember just waking up in my own bed and feeling these waves of absolute fury and frustration and despair and sadness. And yet this morning I woke up differently. It felt very different.
And it's going to take some time for Kathleen. She was branded Australia's worst serial killer in a family.
Imagine
for all those years. It's going to take a long time for people, the public, to come to the realisation that she is indeed innocent.
Look, really, we've got to take a long, hard look at, what did happen, how that happened. There's lessons for all of us in this. She was called a monster, as you say. I've compared this to the Lindy Chamberlain case, and it is. In fact, in many ways, this case is far worse, and we did far more deeper and greater longer-term wrongs. We've got to remember there was never any actual evidence whatsoever around the murder or the manslaughter or the harm of those children. Kathleen's conviction was 100% based on tendency, coincidental evidence and legal theories that have long been discredited and that we now know were very gendered, sort of mother type of legal theories. One child dying, maybe sudden infant death syndrome, 2, goodness gracious, 3 or 4, you've got a murderous mother that wasn't coping on your hands. That's all been discredited for a long time now.
God.
And the diary entries too. What new mother isn't having a terrible time and saying, I wish they'd stop crying?
And also you look at her history. Her father murders her mother. She's put into foster homes. Like her whole life. You just think, whoa.
And then you wonder, no wonder she didn't respond emotionally. Same as Lindy in the way that we expected her to, and we punished her for that too.
Exactly. This is, not the perfect mother, not at least, now, and as we heard in the inquiry with the psychological and psychiatric expert evidence, now at least we have much deeper understanding around mothers. None of us have perfect mothers. No. We're not those Polar, Kodak, sandwich-making perfect women, are we? We're mothers,
no. Yes.
So, what a fantastic day today. Yeah. And Kathleen is free. And we need to look at our legal processes. It was very difficult for Kathleen to get to this point, and her legal team. My goodness, Rani Rego, a solicitor who has worked for years, fully pro bono, around the clock, with lawyers telling her, what are you doing? You're wasting your time. This will never come to pass. And tonight, last night, they were united in freedom together.
Oh.
That's great.
Brilliant.
Well, Sue, thank you for joining us this morning. Sue Higginson, Greens MP. Good work.
Thank you, Sue.
My pleasure, and good work all those people and champions out there.